Hi everybody, welcome to my makeshift sharpening station. I'd like to talk a little bit about sharpening systems, and just as a reminder for anybody out there sharpening, most of us know when you sharpen any tool, regardless of what system you use, you're usually putting a very sharp edge on tools. Be careful, exercise caution. I had a friend of mine get 5 stitches by an accident with a blade in my shop, and he was lucky it was only 5 stitches, but there's it could have been a lot worse. So just a reminder, safety whenever you're sharpening tools, regardless of the system you use. Some of you know I've been working on what I call the Freestyle Ledge sharpening system for probably over a year now, and things have developed and changed, and I want to apologize to anybody that's maybe kind of waiting for an opportunity to try it and use it. I know I put a few out there to some people, but I've got some developments that's happened over the last few months to increase the versatility of this system. So I'd like to just do a little recap. I'm not going to do any sharpening right now, but I'm going to go over the versatility and how this system works. So we start out with an angle block, and originally this was set up to go from about 10 degrees. If you place the key in the proper slot, you can go from 10 degrees up to 50 degrees in 1 degree increments with this system. What I discovered sharpening some other blades that require a steeper angle is that you could actually go above 50. You can go 55, 65, 75, and then with the right placement you can do 85, and then obviously 90. And you can go from 85 to 90 in 1 degree increments also. 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90. And there is a use for that. So this has really expanded a little bit beyond what I expected it to, but it's very functional. So if you hadn't watched any of my videos before about this, the Freestyle Ledge was developed basically as kind of a mix between a honing jig and freestyle sharpening. It's a finger-held ring for the most part. The only difference you'll see in this one here and the previous ones is I've got 2 holes right here that go through the body, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But this system, you can grab any tool you can handle pretty much. For example, a fishtail chisel. Put it in your desired angle. Grab the tool with the ring and go to town sharpening through your stones. It's got a non-slip top on it, and it doesn't really move. Plus you're gripping the tool with your hand, so a lot of flexibility. You can grab fishtail chisels. This is an 1/8 inch chisel. Set it in there. You can grab it. All the control beyond there is in your hand, but this will maintain that angle that you selected. One of the complaints that I had, or things that were brought out, was that this does not go low enough for people that have shorter chisels and they want to achieve a 25 degree. A Lee Nielsen longer one, I can get to 25 degrees on that because the blade is longer. These I can't because I'm backing up and hitting the handle, but the solution to that, I've got a low profile jig that will accommodate lower angles, and it works just like this. Personally, I find this more comfortable to use on chisels, but need be, this works the same. It's hand pressure on that, it doesn't slip, and you can progress through your tools at a lower bevel angle. And all that depends on the geometry of the tool you're sharpening. Obviously, the shorter this is, the more difficult it is to get at a low angle. The other purpose that this solves is steeper angles. This can go up to 90 degrees, and I have found a use for that. So there's a wide range of tools that you can sharpen with just these and setting your angles with the block. You can sharpen chisel blades, which I've had a lot of success with, just hand holding these. Set your chisel blade at the desired angle and do it. What I did find is that the chisel blade being wider, this is just a small low angle block plane chisel, but when you start getting into blades like this Lee Nielsen scraper blade, it's real wide and thick, and it's just difficult to handle something like that with either the ring or this. And I do use a steeper angle on this, so it somewhat requires this jig to go ahead and do that. So what I developed was a clamp to go on these. This is what these holes going through the body are for. So I can take this and these active springs, slide this over here, and this just works on flat plane blades. So for example, if I want to sharpen this blade at 75 degrees like I typically do, I can load the blade, hold the blade up to my angle block, get everything positioned, just squeeze, and that pressure pulls these two springs in, puts pressure on the clamp to the blade, and you cannot move this jig. I mean, it will move, but you pretty much have to loosen it up. It's got a real good grip. The only thing I found when you actually sharpen these blades on the stone is you need to go one direction, as that is push the blade away from you on your stone, because at these steeper angles, whatever stone you're using, it has a tendency to grab and pull forward like this. So I found that when I sharpen these steep blades, I need to just go away from myself, and then of course you can deal with it from there. This system will also accommodate the thinner blades. If I want to sharpen this one at 25 degrees, it's the same way. Set your blade in here, come down, get your jig set where you want it, and just finger pressure, just hand pressure, you can tighten that and it won't move. That's on there. That's a lot thinner blade. This is a real thick blade. This accommodates a wide variety of wide blades. And again, you go through your stones with that process. It'll also accommodate some of the smaller blades. Now sometimes I prefer to use the ring with this, but on a shorter blade, you're going to want to use the low angle. Again, no tools, finger pressure, you're set at your angle, and that's consistent. Every time you go back, you can set it, and this won't move. So very versatile. I think of, these are just 3D printed, but they work very well. Like I said, before I move on to manufacturing, we'll look at what material. I'm sure they'll be made out of metal, but system works very well. I'm happy with it. This is all I'll ever probably use. Again, this will slide in here, and you can do the same thing. Hand pressure, you're locked in. You can go to town on this, do your sharpening real quick, easy to use. This does not work with chisels though because of the geometry. This is not flat in here. This is beveled, and it would probably be almost impossible to give the variety of these pads to go ahead and accommodate any make and manufacturer. This will slide on here, but being the geometry it is, it'll slip out the back easy. But being on a flat blade, that holds steady, it won't move on you unless you separate it on the top. So that's where we're at with this system. I like it. I have no need for anything else. I don't know of any other system that'll go from 10 degrees up to 90 degrees with accuracy. The only other thing I'll add is that with this low angle with the attachment right here, there are blades. I think Lee Nielsen has one for their bevel up low angle jack plane where they sell a 90-degree blade, and I think this is the only sharpening jig that I know that you could achieve that 90-degree angle and go to a stone. Again, I would push it away from myself, but if I had to sharpen one of those, this system will achieve that. And I think with that same plane, Lee Nielsen recommends, you know, trying different angles, 55, 60, 65. So we can get a lot of these out of this, and I find it a pleasure. It's easy to come to, use, set aside, and go back to work. And that's the whole problem I have, is being a hobbyist woodworker. I don't have time to sit here and learn muscle memory. I can do this sharpening maybe a good bit one day, and then it might be 3 months before I pick up another hand tool, because between work and doing other things around the house, I'm not an everyday woodworker. If I were, I'd probably be able to come over here, know where my angle is, and go through this without using anything. But I'm like a lot of hobbyists, I don't have the time to learn that muscle memory. And some of the other jigs, the Eclipse style jigs, I just have issues. They seem to, if you don't tighten them exactly right, they seem to break loose on me and slide around. I've always had trouble setting angles and being consistent about that. I know there's ways to set up little gauges on your sharpening block where you know it's set up for a certain angle, but the versatility of this, I don't know of anything that'll hold this tool. The fishtail chisel, I don't know of an Eclipse style that'll hold an 1/8 inch chisel. And then plain blades, you know, most of the systems have a limitation of, you know, let's say 20 degrees to 45 or 50 degrees. This will go beyond that, and I did find a use for that, so it is a viable option to have in the system you choose. So I hope some people may have some interest in this, and thank you for watching, and I'll try to get some more out as soon as I can get manufacturing under process.